let's get to, guys, the starting five, which is, what we love to talk about, what we love to guesstimate. And we've seen the starters so far with the two bigs, Mitchell Robinson, Karl-Anthony Towns. Steph, do you think that's the way they go against Cleveland next Wednesday?
Yeah, I mean that's been every indication is that's the way they're going to go. Josh Hart, unfortunately, got hurt in the second quarter of the opening preseason game, and we haven't seen him since. So um, Mike Brown has gone with that double big lineup anytime he had the opportunity, and I think what you're going to see in Game One is that lineup with uh, Mitchell Robinson at center, Karl Anthony Towns at power forward. I think that optimizes the defense more than anything. And they're going to be an elite rebounding team with that lineup.
Steph, I just want to say thank you for checking in from the Maybach. I really appreciate I know it's
Maybach,
tough
yeah,
on
right,
the
dude.
road.
My Toyota
I appreciate it,
2020
brother.
Corolla.
Thank you. And James up at the Knicks practice facility, I should say, too, in Tarrytown. I'm going to talk to Mike Brown and some of the players after practice. James, for you, is that the best starting lineup that this team can offer?
That's a great question, right? I think it probably gives them the best balance. Like Steph said, to me, starting Mitch mitigates a lot of the defensive worries that you have with the other four. Not obviously OG and Mikal, but Jalen and Kat. They both try defensively, but there are physical limitations there. And then offensively, you're getting offensive rebounds. You have another big screener out there. So, yes, would maybe Deuce McBride help the offense more than the defense? Sure. Would Josh also bring a bit of a balance? Sure. But we've seen what that looked like. Could it be different with a different coach? Of course. Um, so I definitely think that is the way they go. I think it probably brings the best balance. I have questions about putting the ball in Mitch's hands as much as it seems like they're going to do. And even Mike, when he was asked about it the other day at practice, I think it was practice, he said he even came in with like some concerns, like, am I going to put the ball too much in his hands, make him do too much decisions, like as a DHO guy, as a hub at times. And he said he's been impressed with what he's seen so far, but it was something that he's going to keep monitoring. So I'm curious how it impacts the offense. But defensively, I agree. I think it just probably helps mitigate some of the most obvious limitations.
I wonder, too, with Karl-Anthony Towns, you mentioned it, James, the amount of three-pointers. It's just preseason. You don't want to read anything into it, certainly not too much into it. But his looks, I wonder how his looks change if they do go that way with Towns at the 4, Robinson at the 5. And Mike Brown has hit on this point several times. He's talked about how with Karl-Anthony Towns and Guerschon Yabusele, they have the toughest adjustment to make because those guys have to know the 4 and the 5 positions in these new schemes, offensively, defensively. And excuse me, for Mike Brown, if you're at the 4, you have to also know the other positions on the court, 1 to 3. So a lot is being put on Karl-Anthony Towns and Yabusele early on. I mean, Brown has almost mentioned it every time we bring one of those guys up. So that's a point of emphasis for him, something to keep an eye on early in the season as the Knicks start to get used to each other. But with Towns, Bonds, how do you expect it to be different at the power forward position? Better, worse, the same?
Well, I think I think it worked out in Minnesota.
Yep.
I think that they're going to be a better defensive team, and I think that was a big issue. Listen, we're talking about the offense over and over again, the speed and the pace. The problem with this team last year was really the defense. They were an average defensive team for much of the year, and a lot of that is because Karl-Anthony Towns was at center, and he was put in a position where he's not a great rim protector, and the Knicks lost that element. So I think by moving him to power forward, the Minnesota Timberwolves, when he was in that position, were one of the top defenses in the NBA. I think it optimizes the defense, and I think, offensively, Karl-Anthony Towns is such a talent that he'll find a way. I'm a little bit concerned about this idea that they're going to just run and gun and play speedball because Karl-Anthony Towns, to me, just doesn't strike me as that type of player physically, and Guerschon Yabusele as well. So I'm interested to see how that all plays out. But he's now what, year 10 in the NBA. I mean, the guy's going to figure out a way to score. He was an All NBA talent last year, and I expect him to be on that level again offensively.
Yeah, no question. James, also, when you look at kind of the heart injury, We know it's the back. We know that he wasn't playing the other night. I think it was because they just wanted to. Mike Brown wanted to sit him. It's not clear to me whether he could have played or not. Do you expect him on Friday?
I'm gonna say I'm not reporting anything. I'm gonna say no. Maybe they get him an extra preseason game. Listen, I think it sounds like he just started doing on-court stuff the other day. Um, we know and love Josh. He's not a fan of practicing, right? Like that's publicly known. And like, right, I'm not speaking out of turn. Like it's a
No,
I think a
you said
publicly
it.
known thing. Yeah.
Preseason too. Yeah.
Yeah. So, listen, maybe they get him a game if he's feeling all right, just to like let him get some game reps in before they just throw him in the fire in Cleveland. But I mean, last update we got is he didn't practice and he was doing on-court stuff. So Steph and I will find out here, hopefully in less than an hour, if he practiced today.
And you guys remember, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't he have like 0 points in preseason last year? Like it was crazy how bad he was.
Yeah,
It
he
was
did not shoot it well.
He was at the point where he was like, dude, just take me out of the starting lineup. And then
I forgot about that.
And then he had like he set the record for triple doubles in a season for the Knicks. So I wouldn't read too much into Josh Hart's preseasons.
That's a very fair point. There is history there.
I forgot about
that. That was funny. I remember that was a big story coming out of that last preseason game. You know, OG Anunoby, Mitchell Robinson, Mikal Bridges in that starting unit. We talked about offense, talked about defense, but Bridges specifically, James, what do you think you'll see from him year 2 here in New York?
I asked Brown this the other day. Will we see him as kind of the exclusive point of attack defender? And he said not exclusive, but he does really like him there because he does it really well, right? So I'm fascinated to see the season Mikal has. We've all talked about how there were struggles last year, right? He's talked about how there were struggles. Is he going to be able to be aggressive and be that point of attack defender they need him to be every single night, right? That's a question I have, right? That's a lot of screens. This guy has a lot of miles on his body. I think last year he got hit with more screens than anybody in like modern NBA history, if I'm not mistaken, since they started tracking it. Like that's a tough job, and I imagine Mike Brown will switch it up a little bit more. On the offensive end, you want to see the shot be what it had been in the past. He could hit corner threes last year, could not hit above the break threes. I want to say 30% or worse on those. They need him to make open shots. We haven't really seen any mid-range jumpers yet this preseason. He's gotten to the hole a few times, gotten to the free throw line. I asked Brown if that was a conversation they had. He said not necessarily, but I think just he thought it was something that would naturally come from the offense. And I think Mikal at least has attempted to alter his game a little bit here in the preseason.
Yeah, you mentioned that getting to the rim, and that's what we didn't see last year. You have seen it a few times early on. Got a note from producer extraordinaire Sam Kendall. Sam notes that Josh Hart had 2 points in 90 minutes during last year's preseason. He was 1 of 6 from the floor, 0 of 5 from 3. So yeah, we can throw out any Josh Hart preseason stats or performances, throw them out the window.